Welcome to the 39th video in the series, Foundations of Communist Organizing. Today we'll be going over the 1951 piece by Bourgeois, Theory and Action in Marxist Doctrine. I've summarized this as Anti-Spontaneous Discipline in Classist Vanguard. The class party is based on analysis of class struggle and prediction of its development, and through the collection of collective knowledge from the proletariat via organization and engagement with them in their struggles, it is able to develop general revolutionary class knowledge. This allows the party to make decisions that engage in praxis that is beyond immediate, partial economic interests, and then teach individual proletarians, the class, and its militants, and make correct decisions. Through its historic study of the class struggle, the party becomes able to predict and apply science to his class struggle, becoming active and producing higher theory not through spontaneous development, but through further historic study and consultation of the masses. Thus, consciousness comes first for the party, then will, and finally activity, praxis, rather than the other way around. Through collective knowledge and the ability to analyze that knowledge to produce theory which has predictive power, the party can make decisions and take the initiative to influence the course of the struggle, and thus produce subjective conditions. This accelerates the class struggle and reverses praxis. Rather than action leading to theory, theory leads to action. In order to be able to act and spread its knowledge, the party must retain its material links with the social environment and the fundamental class struggle. This is best done in a pyramid structure, leading upwards to more developments, or perhaps concentric circles leading towards the middle, or perhaps nested cones, with collective knowledge filtering upwards to become more and more correct, while incorrect ones are rejected as the lower levels and outer layers are more responsive to immediate conditions, while more organized ones are disciplined with continuity of theory and organization and tactical methods. The demands of the base, which is not necessarily cognizant of the full struggle, should be limited to what produces theoretically sound results, which allow the party to remain a proletarian class party and not turn into a mass party, and the center must base its decisions on continuity and not break with the base. Exemplary of this is the need for the party to maintain relations with trade unions and other associational frameworks of the proletariat which have achieved integration into bourgeois societies, while under strict limitations which remove their ability to create subjective conditions. Despite this, the party needs to maintain relations with organizations such that can only be accessed by the workers and are between the masses and the party minority, and it needs to develop new methods of associational framework between the proletariat that are resistant to the bourgeois recuperation. This is a contradiction. The form and relations of production create conservative influences on individual workers' consciousness and through that, the working class itself. The class party needs to enter into relations with both of these, struggling against such influences in the workers and class, while also remaining resistant to them itself through its theory. To do that, the party should engage in immediate struggles alongside proletarian economic organizations when they have a large number of pure wage earners, are connected to other such associations, and when enabled to propagandize within the movement against the recuperation of the bourgeoisie. Otherwise, it should find better ground to fight on, which does not endanger itself. And then I've got a quick summary of this table, which is their schema for the reversal of praxis, which is presented as what makes their party organization special. We'll go through this in depth after I read my short summary down below. So firstly, we've got forms and relations of production, the traditional order and privileged class. Create conservative influence on individual workers' consciousness, decisional choice and will, and activity, praxis. Through the individual workers, such conservative influences weigh on the working class's theory, will, and praxis. So you got the blue representing conservative influence, with the forms and relations of production, all creating the conditions for activity that the proletariat engage in, which is wage labor and stuff, but generally existing within class society. These things continually cause the forms and relation of production to continually get more and more conservative. Continuing. 2. Physiological impulses in individual workers has economic determination quality in individual workers, which in turn produces economic interests. These economic interests lead to particular praxis, which is justified after through belief in decisional choice, which in turn leads the individual worker to develop an economically determined consciousness, so trade union consciousness, focusing on their immediate economic needs, rather than recognizing their larger class-based needs that would lead them to revolutionary consciousness. And then 3. These economic interests also influence the working class as a whole in terms of their economic interests. These lead to a working class praxis distinct but related to individual and formal activity, which in turn produces a class-based belief in decisional choice and spontaneous consciousness. Unlike the individual worker and working class, however, which are influenced by physiological impulses and economic interests, the classist party is able to influence the former two in a revolutionary way via its theory, which produces will, and from that, praxis. Will, praxis, and theory influence the working class, but praxis does not influence the individual worker. Rather, theory and will influence the worker through the working class as a whole. The party combats conservative influences in all but the praxis of individual workers, which is principally produced through their individual immediate economic interests. So we got our physiological impulses, which has an economic determination of economic interests. And then you've got your economic interests creating economic determinations in terms of the working class all the way up through activity, decisional choice, their willpower, and consciousness. But then you've also got those economic interests creating influence on the individual worker as well, all up the chain as well. But then you've got the classist party here, which has revolutionary influence, which develops theory and will and praxis, which in turn it seeks to propagandize to the working class and educate the individual worker as well, and produce decisional choice, that is to say will, within the working class and the individual worker to take action. However, the party cannot enforce action on the individual worker. They can't actually go in and drive that sort of thing. That is carried out in the party organs. Anything that is done here is necessarily going to be spontaneous and immediate, because the individual worker does not have the knowledge of the totality of the class struggle that the party would have, which would stop it from being spontaneous, because the individual worker lacks all the class knowledge necessary to make correct determinations. Then you got the impulses unified in the party from the working class's the will, its activity, and its economic interests, but not from the working class's consciousness. That consciousness is held within the party itself, which develops theory. Okay, that is my summary of Bourdieu's theory and action in Marxist doctrine. As usual, if you'd like, you can go into the description below and you'll find the quotations that I derived this from. And if you'd like to see the other graphicals that were provided in this piece, let me just open it up real quick for that matter. You can go into the actual text itself. I do recommend this, but I think that I covered everything of most notable importance. In addition, within the description, you'll find a link to a United Marxist Pact Discord server. If you'd like to discuss this or any other text, we would love to have you and speak with you. That being said, tomorrow we will be going through the 1951 piece by Bourdieu, Characteristic Theses of the Party. Thank you for joining me for today's session, and I hope to see you tomorrow.